The woman slowly moved forward, begging the young man in front of her to save her. But when Liang picked up the woman from the ground, he realized that all her limbs had been chopped off. Terrified, he immediately threw the woman away, trembling, as he pulled out his phone to call for help. But the woman insisted that he didn't need to call an ambulance, instead asking Liang to give her his blood. It turns out the woman was a vampire who had lived for 1,000 years, and just one person's blood was enough to bring her back to life. But this one person's blood would mean giving up her life, right? Only a fool would give it to her. Liang immediately had the urge to run away, his instinctive fear causing him to step back. Ren Xiaoqing, seeing this, began to panic as well. For the first time, he felt the danger of death, his expression becoming terrifying and full of doubt. In the end, he cried out like a baby, struggling to crawl toward Liang, desperately pleading with him not to leave. But this action only scared Liang more. He ran out of the subway station, but after running for a short distance, he stopped on a staircase. Ren Xiaoqing's baby-like cries echoed in his ears, and unable to bear seeing the beautiful woman die miserably, he ultimately returned to her side. However, this time he did so with the belief that he was going to die, unhesitatingly throwing himself into Ren Xiaoqing's arms, and before dying, he spoke his final wish. In your next life, you will never fail. Seeing Liang's action, Ren Xiaoqing was moved to tears. For the first time in 1,000 years, he encountered someone willing to sacrifice their life for him. Filled with immense gratitude, he lunged toward Liang and began to drink his blood. The next day, when Liang woke up, he was shocked to find that he hadn't died. He thought it was just a nightmare, but there was a strange little girl beside him. Liang wanted to wake the girl to get some clarity, but after shaking her for a while with no response, he decided to go outside and check the situation. To his surprise, as soon as he came into contact with sunlight, his right hand suddenly ignited with a strange fire. Soon, it spread across his entire body, and the intense pain from the burning was excruciating. He tried to run to extinguish the flames, but accidentally missed his step and fell from a height, crashing heavily onto the ground and slowly losing consciousness. At that moment, a little girl suddenly appeared on the rooftop. With agility, she climbed over the railing and jumped down, the flames quickly engulfing her entire body as she plummeted toward the ground like a meteor. Despite the flames burning her, she struggled to drag Liang back. The heat wave from the flames instantly consumed the surrounding buildings, but in the end, she managed to throw Liang back into the building. The flames on both of them quickly extinguished, and Liang hurriedly checked his body, only to find that he was completely unharmed. The little girl explained that it was because she had become a vampire with an immortal body, capable of instantly healing after being continuously burned. Looking at this little girl, Liang suddenly felt she looked familiar. Isn't this Ren Xiaoqing? He didn't expect her to have turned into a child. He immediately asked Ren Xiaoqing to turn her back into a human, but Ren Xiaoqing said she didn't have the ability to do that. After absorbing Liang's blood, Ren Xiaoqing hadn't fully recovered. She explained that if Liang could help her retrieve her limbs from the hunters, she could help turn her back into a human. But Liang began to doubt, as even the peak Ren Xiaoqing couldn't defeat them. How could he possibly be their match? Ren Xiaoqing responded that although she might not win in a 1 versus 3, she would definitely succeed in a 1 versus 1. Determined to help Ren Xiaoqing retrieve her limbs, Liang ventured alone to the hunter's base. However, when Liang met the first vampire hunter, he was almost stunned by the sheer presence of the hunter. The hunter merely waved, and a massive steel structure collapsed with a deafening crash. It was then that Liang realized he had been tricked by Ren Xiaoqing. He had no fighting power whatsoever. To make matters worse, the second hunter appeared, followed by the third, completely blocking his path. While the hunters were discussing something in a foreign language, a strange blonde man in the distance was watching everything with amusement. Suddenly, he began rapidly flying toward Liang from a high place under the moonlight. Liang originally intended to negotiate with the 3 hunters, but they ignored him and immediately attacked. However, all of their attacks were blocked by the suddenly appearing blonde man. When Liang regained his senses, only the blonde man remained at the scene. Shortly after, the blonde man brought Liang back. A Upon learning that the three hunters were still working together, Ren Xiaxing realized that it was impossible for Liang to figure things out on his own. Moreover, Liang was worried that even if they hid here, there might come a day when they would be suddenly killed. At this point, the blonde man said that he would take care of it. His name was Ren, and he was a key figure who maintained the balance in this strange world. Since Ren Xiaxing's side was too weak, the balance had been lost, so it was up to him to mediate and persuade the three hunters to accept Liang's challenge individually. However, his services came at a price of 2 million. If he couldn't persuade them, he would use force to ensure the three hunters acted separately. Since Ren Xiaxing didn't have human currency, Liang would have to bear the cost with payment due at any time and no guarantee needed. In order to become human again, Liang agreed to Ren Xiaxing's plan. Then he found out that the first hunter he would challenge, Della, was also a vampire. It was common for vampires to hunt their own kind. So Liang bought various martial arts manuals to improve his strength. While practicing at the park, he unexpectedly ran into his crush, the class president Yu Chuan-yi, who had once shown interest in him during a brief romantic encounter. Their second meeting was a bit awkward due to the tension from their previous interaction. Yu Chuan-yi was Liang's only human friend. He was curious about the book Liang was reading. Not wanting to reveal his secret, Liang closed the book, but this made Yu Chuan-yi misunderstand that it was some kind of forbidden material. Embarrassed, Liang was about to leave, but Yu Chuan-yi caught up with him and said he wanted to chat. It turned out that Yu Chuan-yi also liked Liang. However, the exchange between a top student and a failing student was completely on different wavelengths. Every topic Yu Chuan-yi brought up made Liang feel ashamed, and by the end, Liang advised him not to go out at night because it would be dangerous if he encountered a vampire. Yu Chuan-yi responded that he was a bit excited about the possibility. The legend of vampires was something Yu Chuan-yi had shared with Liang. Liang, suppressing the fear inside, asked why Yu Chuan-yi wanted to meet a vampire. Yu Chuan-yi explained that it was just a curiosity from his teenage years, and he actually wanted to have a conversation with a vampire. This answer completely broke Liang's composure. To keep Yu Chuan-yi from being targeted by vampires, Liang suddenly turned hostile. He said he found Yu Chuan-yi annoying and that he had only been pretending to get close for his wealth. He also accused Yu Chuan-yi, the top student, of wanting to be friends with him, the underachiever, just to satisfy his sense of superiority. In a final attempt to keep Yu Chuan-yi away from danger, Liang deleted his contact information right in front of him. Hurt and humiliated, Yu Chuan-yi ran away crying. This parting decision made Liang feel like he had become stronger, so he decided to face his first battle and challenge Della. But things turned out to be far more complicated than he had imagined.